On today's episode of the Cryptoverse, what are the 9 top trends pushing Bitcoin towards mainstream adoption? Let's find out. Dash is the privacy-focused digital currency that offers transactions with instant confirmations. Its unique decentralized decision-making and self-funding system make it an ideal choice as a stable and secure digital cash. Click the link in the video description to learn more. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I am your host, Chris Coney. Today is the 9th of January 2017, and I would like to give a shout out to my patrons today because, due to their generosity, I've been able to buy 2 new accessories for my recording setup. The first one is like a metal swing arm, which attaches to my desk, and then I'm able to use my microphone and pull it towards me and get it in the perfect position and then swing it out of the way when I'm not recording. That's much better than the microphone stand that was a pain in the backside that I had to kind of move around the room. That's gone now. Metal swing arm is in play. Loving that. The second thing I bought is a fanless cooler for my computer, and that's reduced the amount of noise that my computer gives off, which means that the audio should be clearer. I don't have to do so much manipulation of the sound during editing, and it'll just make the quality of the Cryptoverse that little bit better. And that's only possible because of the generosity of my patrons. So thank you very much for that, guys. Right, let's get into the market roundup, and then we'll do a bit of news. So we begin the day, as always, on coinmarketcap.com. Let's take a look at the biggest winner and biggest loser by percentages in the last 24 hours. This is a Sunday to a Monday analysis, so that may or may not make a difference. I imagine fewer people trade on the weekends, but there's still a lot of trading activity going on. Now, the biggest loser today is Monero, believe it or not. After some great gains recently, it's now dropped 5.44%. A Monero token is still worth $13.04 though, and means the Monero blockchain as a whole is worth $178.5 million. So I think Monero is still way above what it was, so no worries there. And then the biggest winner of the day is a coin that I've not spoken about in a while, Digix DAO. It's jumped enough, it's actually jumped 13.34%, and that's enough to bring it into the 16th most capitalized coin. I don't remember Digix DAO being in the top 20 last week. So it used to be like 10th or 8th, I think, for a while. And then, competition intensified and now it got pushed out of the top 20. Now it's back. So Digix DAO is now worth $10.20, making the Digix DAO blockchain worth $20,400,000, near enough. Now, if you've never had a look at Digix DAO, what they're doing is making a blockchain token that is a representation of a gold deposit in a vault. So it's, when you say digital gold, it pretty much is that, right? You send someone a DGD token, and that's the transferring of ownership of some kind of gold bullion from one person to another. So if you have the private key for a Digix DAO token, that represents physical ownership of the physical gold in the real world. So great idea. I quite like it. I've seen some of the interviews from those guys. They seem very smart. I think they're based in Singapore, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a great financial hub to be based in. So if you like the idea of Digix DAO, check that out. Now on to the Bitcoin price chart. So you'll have seen, so over the weekend, there was actually 2 green days, but on Friday, we talked about the 2 big down days. And now there's kind of, it's dithering around the $900 mark. That seems to be the new battleground for the time being. You may notice that my chart looks a little bit different today because of all this craziness recently, I've decided to redraw my lines. We'd gone way above my previous Fibonacci retracement lines. So we went right up and retraced all of that. So it kind of became irrelevant unless we go back down there again, which I don't think we will. So I think we're going to say above $800. So that was where the top of my Fibonacci retracement lines were. So I've deleted all that. And now what I've done is I've redrawn them. If we go back to the 1 week chart, what I've done is I've drawn a new, very long-term Fibonacci retracement line that starts from the last high, like the biggest all-time high of 1,163, and I've drawn the bottom of it all the way down to the low of that crash. So from that peak to the lowest that it went, the lowest that it went was on, is that the 12th of January? I mean, we do the dates the other way around in the UK. So it's 2015 1/12. I think that's the 12th of December. Or, no, it's the 12th of January, sorry. So anyway, so that's where the bottom is. The bottom price is down at 152 at the bottom and 1,163 at the top. That then gives me my Fibonacci retracement lines, right? So then if we go back to the daily chart, actually the one that we are between is the 78.6% Fibonacci line, which is about $946. And you can see on my chart, there's a bit of interaction on that. But for the time being, it seems like there's indecision as to whether the market wants to go up from $900, stay at $900, or go slightly below it. This green candle here with the long tail, that is the retracement that I was looking for, that was born out of what I was talking about, the overextension. You know, price doesn't get too far away from its trend before it has to come down and touch it. And there it is. It's the 50-day exponential moving average, which is this blue line. It got way away from it and then came crashing down. That low touched it, so I'd consider that a phase 2. So now this dithering about, that's consolidation, where there's indecision before the price either, it looks like it's going to take off again, to be honest. We've got that long tail there, which shows that the low price was rejected. You have to excuse me today, I've got a blocked nose again. And then today we've got this long tail on the candle, trading above $900 right now. So those are the sort of things that make me think that the buyers have got it right now. And then yesterday we've got this sort of indecision bar on the Sunday, but even then we finished the day above $900, so that's a good sign to me. So in terms of the news then, I've turned to bitcoin.com for this article that's called Top Trends Pushing Towards the Mainstream, or Pushing Bitcoin Towards the Mainstream. Now, because Bitcoin is the world's first truly global currency, and because it's still in its very early stages, it's very young, it's affected by events in any one of the countries that it's being used in. So when every country has its own currency, when Venezuela, for example, goes through a currency collapse, the Australian dollar largely protects the Australians from feeling the impact of that. With Bitcoin, though, especially since it's so young, an event in one part of the world affects every other Bitcoin user because it's global. So there are countless forces acting on Bitcoin all at the same time. And what we're going to do today is look at a few of them. So the first one is hiding wealth and using it as a tax haven. So this bit says that estimates place offshore tax havens holdings as large as $32 trillion. As more people learn to trust Bitcoin as a store of wealth, especially when Swiss bank accounts have recently lost their anonymity, and because of the Panama Papers leak revealed offshore banking is no longer safe either, that's going to increase the attractiveness of using Bitcoin as a tax haven. It's kind of the new offshore, right? The main difference being it's not even offshore, it's taking your value from the physical realm and hiding it in the digital realm. And the only reason that's now possible is because Bitcoin has cracked the idea of digital scarcity. And $32 trillion, that's some big business right there. If Bitcoin comes along and offers a better service than, say, the Swiss banking system can, well, there's a $32 trillion market that Bitcoin can take a share of. And there's nothing to say that Bitcoin has to take all of that either. If someone wants to hide their wealth, they may well opt for Monero or Dash or any one of the other private currencies like Zcash. So the second one then is insurance against crumbling economies. Hyperinflation, demonetization, haircuts, bailouts, and other drastic monetary policies are happening at a faster pace globally. And these are all the results of some busybody trying to meddle with the free market, as if the few are wiser than the many. And if the few are wiser than the many, then I would say the best thing for them to do will be to educate people, not start messing around with monetary policy and getting involved in people's day-to-day lives. So number 3 is remittances through mainstream channels. It says in some places, the solution has worked so well that it's taken over 20% of the local remittance corridor. In Korea, one mainstream bank is already using one of these Bitcoin-backed services for cross-border remittances. I'd much prefer remittances to be done over a open network like Bitcoin than, say, Ripple, because Ripple still largely leaves the banks as the gatekeepers of money. So that's why it's my preference. The next one is torrents and VPNs, virtual private networks. It says users buy VPN services to hide from their local ISPs. You know, you get these geo restrictions like, sorry, you can't watch this because it's only copyrighted in America or whatever, right? So VPNs, you just go screw that, like Tunnel Bear. You just tunnel to the United States or tunnel to the country it is legal in, and then it completely bypasses those kinds of restrictions. And it says here, in order to hide the purchase of VPN services, downloaders have turned to Bitcoin. Now, I like this idea. This causes us as businesses, me included, to start to question how much information that we really need to collect about our customers in order to serve them. I think most businesses are under the illusion that you actually need like full personal info in order to provide a service. In the digital realm, that is not true at all. And in the case of a VPN, to sign up for a VPN, really, the only thing you need to know about a customer is an email address. And even that can be from a company like Proton Mail, which is a encrypted anonymous email service, etc. The only problem with Proton Mail, if you want to upgrade to one of their pro plans, is that they do not take Bitcoin. And I did a whole episode on security the other day about how we could use public and private key encryption to log into systems. All you really need to do is prove that you, the person trying to access a given service, is the same person that paid for that service. And you can do that just by signing a transaction with the same private key. And that proves that you are the person that owned the money that paid for the service. And that's the end of it. I mean, you might argue that, like Amazon, they have to know your mailing address in order to send you a physical item. No, they don't. What happens to all of these lockers, right? Like the Amazon lockers, in fact. You don't need to know anything. You just need to, someone needs to pay for it. They need to say, here's the money. You pay them in Bitcoin. Amazon reveals which locker, a location that the item is going to be in. And then that person obviously has the key to unlock that locker. They walk up to it, they unlock it, they take the item, right? And how does the machine know that that person paid for it? Well, because they're the one that knows the code to unlock the locker. So no, even for physical online orders, you do not need to know the customer's address. Right, the next one is ransomware. It says here, the use of ransomware is hurting Bitcoin's reputation while simultaneously forcing businesses and others or people with important data to stock up on coins in preparations for a hack. So the dark side of anonymous payments, we just talked about those, the benefits of those. The dark side is the ability to extort someone without revealing your identity. If I took a cash payment into my bank, of course, immediately as a hacker, I would have revealed my identity. On the plus side, though, this creates demand for Bitcoin from people who want to stock up for ransom payments, and that can only lead to higher prices and greater adoption for the rest of us. The next one is gambling and adult industries. It says both the adult industry and online gambling have laws prohibiting their use in various countries around the world, giving businesses in these niches a very difficult time getting and keeping payment providers. Because of course, the people processing the credit cards, they're at the mercy of the law and governments coming down on them and so on. So a lot of credit card processing companies flat out refuse to serve these industries, which is why I was so excited and am so excited about the Peer Plays project. So look out for their upcoming ICO if you want to get involved in that. But this again is a problem of identity. Because of the flaws in the old banking system, paying with a card means you have to prove that the transaction is legit, and the way we do that is by providing all our personal information with the card details. When all you really need to do is prove that the money you are spending is yours. And again, we do that by signing a transaction, and that's good enough, right? So the next one is endemic functionality, the fundamental benefits of Bitcoin as a technology. Things like micropayments, machine payments, multi-signature payments, machine escrows, provably fair betting, like in the case of Peer Plays, and many other types of functionality that Bitcoin allows for the first time and is giving cryptocurrencies many new uses among entrepreneurs and startups. So I agree. Bitcoin is a new toolkit for entrepreneurs to get creative with new business models and business models that we've never even seen before. And that's because they were never even possible before. So that's going to be great. The next one is the dark web. It says here, in June of 2011, Bitcoin found its first successful industry, selling questionably legal goods on the dark web and on dark websites like Silk Road. Now, what do we know about these folks? Well, we know that they're prepared to take risks. So it's perfectly logical then that these people will be the first to start using Bitcoin, which was a very risky thing to do in the beginning. However, that was essential in allowing the technology to evolve. Now, I'm not saying I agree with the selling of illegal goods. I'm just making an observation about these inevitable patterns. Exactly the same thing happened with the internet. The adult industry and the gambling industry kind of jumped on it first, and then we now enjoy the benefits of how the technology has evolved thanks to their testing and their research and their development. Even online credit card processing, the technology owes a lot to the adult industry who had to innovate new technologies to actually get it to work for them. And then finally, we have making a better world, which is the one I'm most interested in. It says here, many more people wanting the benefit of a global trust machine in their everyday life will also become Bitcoin holders. So they will also become Bitcoin holders sooner or later. Now, Andreas Antonopoulos said this in one of his very early talks about Bitcoin. He said Bitcoin was a terrible name and that it should have been called TrustNet. And that would have gone a long way to speeding up mass adoption, since the term Bitcoin sounds kind of technical, and it's technical enough to put many people off, Bitcoin. And with the level of distrust that exists towards banks and governments, I think TrustNet would have been something that people would have immediately flocked to just on the basis of its name. So thanks for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and get subscribed. And please support the Cryptoverse and boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. From as little as $10 a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. But that's all for today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.